Gucci is one of the most powerful names in luxury fashion, valued at over $22 billion today. But behind the glamorous bags, the celebrity hype, and the iconic logo lies one of the darkest and most chaotic family sagas in business history. We're talking feuds, lawsuits, betrayal, corporate warfare, and even cold-blooded murder. So sit back, relax, and get comfortable. Because today we're digging into the unbelievable, scandalous rise and fall of the Gucci family. Our story begins with Guccio Gucci, born in Florence, Italy. As a kid, he helped in his parents' straw hat shop until the business collapsed, leaving the family broke. At 18, Guccio traveled to London to work as a bellboy at the glamorous Savoy Hotel. There he watched wealthy guests stroll through the lobby carrying elegant leather suitcases. He noticed something important. Luxury wasn't just practical, it was status. Later working for the train company Wagenlitz, he handled even more luggage and became obsessed with the craftsmanship he saw. He dreamed of opening his own leather goods shop for high-end clients. He just needed experience and money. After serving in World War I, Guccio finally got work making leather goods. And after years of saving every penny, he opened his first small leather store in Florence in 1921. It wasn't glamorous, it wasn't huge, but it was the beginning of what would one day become Gucci. Guccio originally imported leather goods, but wealthy customers started requesting custom-made bags and shoes. To meet demand, he opened a small workshop and hired craftsmen. But the expansion stretched him thin, financially and emotionally. He took loans, struggled constantly, and relied heavily on his three sons, Aldo, Rodolfo, and Vasco, who would one day inherit the business. Guccio was cautious and traditional. His sons? They dreamed much bigger. They pushed him to open a second store in Rome. He resisted at first, but eventually agreed. And that decision changed everything. Soldiers stationed in Italy during World War II bought Gucci gifts to send home, making the shop wildly popular. By the 1950s, they opened another store in Milan. In 1953, the brothers traveled to New York to expand into America. But just 2 weeks after opening the New York store, Guccio died of a heart attack. He left the company entirely to his sons, excluding his daughter, a decision that sparked the first of many legal battles. The New York expansion was a turning point. Gucci became the first major Italian luxury brand in America, and Hollywood celebrities were soon wearing it everywhere. The demand exploded. The three brothers ran the business well until Vasco died in 1974. Aldo and Rodolfo bought his shares, giving them 50% each. That same year, they expanded into Hong Kong, one of the first luxury brands to break into Asia. They launched fragrances, accessories, and countless other products. Gucci was officially a global powerhouse. But as the company grew, so did the tension. And an old Italian saying started to ring true. The first generation builds, the second expands, the third destroys. Aldo had three sons, Giorgio, Roberto, and Paolo. Rodolfo had one son, Maurizio. And these cousins could not stand each other. They fought non-stop about control, design, money, everything. Things got even messier when, in 1972, Maurizio married Patrizia Reggiani, a woman infamous for her obsession with wealth. She once said, "I'd rather cry in a Rolls Royce than be happy on a bicycle." Patrizia loved bragging about wearing Gucci and believed she deserved credit for the brand's image. She constantly pushed Maurizio to rise to the top of the company, creating even more division within the family. Rodolfo, Maurizio's father, hated her, calling her a gold digger, but Maurizio ignored him. When Rodolfo died, Maurizio inherited his entire 50% of Gucci, instantly becoming one of the most powerful members of the family. The third generation tore each other apart. Gucci's brand had become over-licensed and cheapened. Fake Gucci items flooded the streets. Maurizio wanted to restore exclusivity, so he slashed licensing deals, instantly losing over $100 million in revenue. But long-term, this move actually helped make Gucci luxury again. Then came Paolo, Aldo's son, who felt ignored and unappreciated. When no one respected his fashion designs, he snapped. He reported his own father, Aldo Gucci, for tax evasion. Aldo, at 81 years old, went to prison for a year. Paolo then launched his own brand using the Gucci name, leading to a massive lawsuit. His line failed miserably, and he sank deep into debt. The family's battles were now public, constant headlines of scandal. Maurizio had enough. He wanted full control and brought in investors, specifically Investcorp, who eventually bought out the entire Gucci family. By 1993, for the first time ever, no member of the Gucci family owned Gucci. Maurizio's power came crashing down. He'd run the company into massive debt, and Investcorp forced him. Around this time, Maurizio and Patrizia divorced. She cared more about losing the Gucci name than losing her husband. She stalked him, called with threats, and openly complained about losing access to his money. When Maurizio began dating his new girlfriend Paola, Patrizia feared she'd lose her lavish lifestyle permanently. Then in 1995, Maurizio walked into his office building, and a hitman shot him 3 times. For 2 years, the case went cold, until a mysterious tip led police straight to Patrizia. She had literally been asking people around town how to hire a hitman. With the help of her friend Pina and a hired gunman, she orchestrated the murder. During the trial, Patrizia strutted in wearing Gucci outfits every day. She was sentenced to 29 years, serving 18. She could have been released earlier with a work program, but refused, saying, "I've never worked a day in my life, and I don't intend to start now." After the darkest chapter in the brand's history, Gucci entered a new era. Investcorp hired Tom Ford as creative director and Domenico De Sole as CEO, forming the legendary Tom Dom Bomb. They revived the Double G logo, reintroduced classic products, and released bold modern collections that exploded in popularity. Between 1995 and 1996, Gucci's sales nearly doubled, from $263 million to $500 million. Gucci went public on the stock market, and Investcorp later sold their stake for a $2 billion profit. But not everyone was happy. Luxury giant LVMH, led by Bernard Arnault, quietly started buying up Gucci shares, attempting a takeover. To defend itself, Gucci partnered with new investors and expanded into more brands, forming what's known today as the Kering Group, which now owns Balenciaga, Alexander McQueen, and more. By 2004, Tom Ford and Domenico De Sole left the company, but the legacy they built kept Gucci climbing. Today, Gucci has over 500 stores, nearly 50 million Instagram followers, and one of the most recognizable logos in fashion history. And while the House of Gucci movie dramatized the story, and the surviving family members weren't thrilled, the real events are already unbelievable enough. The Gucci empire rose from a tiny shop in Florence, was torn apart by greed and betrayal, and ultimately survived because the world simply couldn't resist the allure of the Double G. And if you thought this story was wild, wait until you hear how Bernard Arnault took over Louis Vuitton. Click the video on screen now, and I'll see you there.